The mace, arguably the most powerful weapon in the game. Now, it is really powerful. But Minecraft has thousands of items, if not more. Is the mace really the most powerful weapon in the game? And can it really one-shot the dragon? We will get to that later on. Today in this video, we are going to find out if the mace truly deserves the title of the most powerful weapon. Now, I am sure you guys already know what it is, but if you have been living under a rock and somehow don't know what the mace is, then the mace is the newly added weapon in the new Trials and Chambers update. It is crafted with a breeze rod and heavy core. You can obtain the breeze rods by killing these blaze knockoffs, breezes. Heavy core can be crafted by completing an ominous trial and getting it as loot. Now we know what the mace is, but it will be no good if it just sits around and does nothing. Bruh. What can it actually do? On the ground level, it deals 5 hearts of damage.
That's nothing. My netherite sword can do much more.
Yeah, that's true, until you add enchantments. Now, there are 3 most important enchantments of the mace. First, and the most powerful enchantment, is density. Density converts fall damage into attack power. The higher you fall, the harder you hit. This enchantment is pretty awesome by itself, but added with another one it gets even better. This is the Windburst enchantment. And this enchantment basically makes you the Hulk. Hulk smash! What it does is that when you successfully land a critical hit on the mob while falling down, it repels you back up in the air. Combined with density, this thing does some insane stuff. But we will get onto that later. Now, for our third enchantment. The Breach. This enchantment is the most useful in a PvP scenario. Remember the times when you have messaged your crush and haven't gotten any replies? Well, the Breach does exactly that. At maximum level 4, the Breach ignores 60% of the armor on the player. So basically, hitting a player in full diamond armor with protection 4 feels like hitting someone in leather armor with protection 4. Yes, that's how OP this stuff is. Earlier, I talked about the insane stuff that the combination of density and windburst do. First of all, it's pretty fun to play it by itself when you have a lot of mobs. And it can also pretty much one-shot a lot of common mobs when you use it properly like this. But this is nothing compared to its actual power. I saw a streamer try this, and bro was literally flying with this enchantment.
I believe I can fly.
With proper form, you can easily fly with this thing. But you need skill though, which I clearly lack. So yeah, go and see if you can do it. Enough with these games though. Now, on to our main question. Can this actually one-hit the Ender Dragon? Before I answer that, you have to know one thing about the density enchantment. Now, as you already know, that density takes away your fall damage and implies to the attack you do. This all means that the more you fall, the harder you hit. Kind of like dropping a heavy book on someone, but the mace is the book. So in theory, given enough height, you should be able to one-hit the dragon. And yes, it actually works. It can one-shot the dragon. Well, if you manage to hit it at least.
I am noob!
I clearly need to work on my aim. Not only Ender Dragon though, it can also one-shot the Warden with enough blocks. But that raises another question. If the damage keeps increasing as high as you go, can you deal infinite damage? I mean, yes, if you think about it, it seems like the mace can do infinite damage, right? Wrong. You see, the player can't fall an infinite amount of block. According to this YouTuber in Survival Minecraft, if the player uses a TNT launcher to boost themselves up and you take 3 unbreaking elytras and the most powerful fireworks along with strength 2, beacon ready, and with all that, if you manage to hit the target perfectly with a critically hit, you can deal approximately around, drum rolls please, 1 million hits of damage.
Wow! Very dangerous!
Then that should settle it, right? The mace should be the most OP weapon in the game. I mean, it can make you fly. It can literally kill the final boss of the game in one hit. On top of that, it can do well over 1 million hits of damage. But you see, they're already pretty good weapons in Minecraft. The mace can't just come here and take the crown like it's nothing. It has to earn it by comparing it to the other weapons and coming up on top. And I think the best way to compare that is to divide it into 3 categories. And the mace has to win at least 2 categories. While comparing to others, the first category is damage. Now this category is pretty self-explanatory. Whichever weapon can deal the maximum amount of damage wins this category. Now, onto our second category, which is practicality. Basically, we are going to compare how easy it is to use the weapon in a combat situation. And the last category is durability. This again is self-explanatory. That whichever weapon is more durable and lasts longer.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Wins this category. Now, when I was researching for powerful weapons in Minecraft, I found 4 most powerful weapons that I think are the OGs and are worth comparing to the mace. And don't miss out on the last weapon. It's crazy powerful. The first weapon is our classic, trustworthy netherite sword. Now, I'm sure you all are familiar with this thing. It's the first thing that pops into our mind when we think about weapons in Minecraft. So a beta normal unenchanted netherite sword does 8 damage attack, whereas a sigma alpha enchanted netherite sword does almost double that 14 damage attack. So yeah, that's all about the netherite sword overall. It's a good, reliable weapon. But does it compare to the mace? Now, I don't think I need to argue about the damage part. I mean, sure, netherite sword does a pretty good damage of 14 hearts, but the mace can literally do over 1 million damage. So it's safe to say that mace wins this category. Now, on to practicality. Sure, the mace can do a lot of damage and stuff, but you have to be skilled to use it, and really, you won't usually have a large area to jump around with the wind burst and kill mobs. Whereas you don't need anything for the netherite sword, you can just remove it out of your pocket and hit the mobs. So practically goes to the netherite sword. On to our last point, which is durability. Now, in theory, the netherite sword has a lot more durability than mace, but it doesn't matter if you just put mending on them both. Now, I know this is kind of cheating, but really, though, who cares?
We do not care.
The mace beats the netherite sword by some questionable means.
Are you sure about that?
So the next weapon on our list is the crossbow.
Crossbow, really? It's nothing compared to other weapons.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that special. Like, it only does 9 hits of damage on average, which is about 4.5 hearts. However, if you add multi-shot quick charge along with harming 2 arrows, it does a whopping damage of 56 hearts, which is already pretty insane. But still, that's nothing compared to Mace's damage of insane 1 million hearts. So yeah, the mace wins in the damage department. No, on to our second thing, which is practicality. I think the mace is much more practical because you can just whip it out and hit the mobs while you would have to take the crossbow and reload it.
2,000 years later.
But you may say that crossbow is better for long range, while it is true, but you can also just close the range and use the mace. So practically also goes to the mace. Now our third point, durability. The mace has a durability of about 500, and the crossbow has a durability of about 465. By a small margin, the mace easily wins this category too, and has successfully defeated crossbow completely. So the next thing we have is the end crystals. I am pretty sure you're all familiar with this thing. It's mostly used in PvP. It deals about 96 heart damage. However, some players yeah, it can also be really bad if you don't use it correctly. So let's compare it to the mace. First, the damage, which, again, the Mace easily beats the End Crystal. I don't really need to explain, so yeah, on to our second point, which is practicality. And again, using End Crystals isn't really that practical due to that you have to be skilled at using this, and it mostly works in PvP and not really other aspects. While the Mace, I think, can be used in both, so even practicality goes to the Mace. Now on to the third point, which is durability. This is one a bit tricky, because how the fuck do you even compare the durability of this thing? It literally blows up in a second. So I think durability should also go the Mace. The Mace wins against the End Crystal. But now it's time for the main thing, the one you have been waiting for, which is an arrow. Huh? An arrow? Now you may think that an arrow can't compare to a god-level weapon which can one-shot the dragon, right? But you would be dead wrong. Mace is not the only weapon which increases its damage due to momentum. An arrow also increases the damage output by its momentum. With only walking and shooting, its damage increases by 0.34% by itself. It may not seem much, but what if you add external force? Like many projectiles in the game, the momentum of arrows can be influenced by TNT explosion. So a player named Fallen Breath made a space-based Dragon Slayer, which accelerates the arrow with 240 TNTs that sends the arrow flying. So fast that it actually one-shots the Ender Dragon.
Damn!
Like the Mace, but is it as strong as the Mace? Let's again compare them by the three categories and see which one comes on top. First, the damage part. Now again, it's really tricky to compare because we can't actually tell how much damage does the arrow exactly do, but both can easily kill the dragon. So I would say it's a tie in the damage part. Onto our next point, which is practically, and this is a no-brainer, the Mace easily wins compared to the arrow, which needs a whole ass NASA center to back it up, while the Mace just needs a few enchantments. The next point, which is durability. The Mace's durability is like a loyal companion, finite but dependable, and with the right enchantments, it can practically last forever. On the other hand, the TNT-powered arrow setup doesn't have durability in the traditional sense, but it guzzles resources like a starving creeper at a TNT buffet, making it wildly inefficient in the long run. So durability also goes to the Mace. The Mace has successfully beaten all the best weapons and came on top, and truly earned the title of the most OP weapon. The Mace might be the most powerful weapon, but let's be real, nothing truly beats the sword. Think back to your first night in Minecraft, punching trees, and holding your breath as you fought off zombies for the first time. The sword was there when you took down your first creeper, when you braved the Nether, and when you claimed victory in your first Ender Dragon fight. Sure, the Mace is flashy, overpowered, and insane, but the sword is timeless. It's the essence of Minecraft. Simple, reliable, and iconic.